According to the philosopher and author Manly Palmer Hall, ceremonial magic is the ancient art of invoking and controlling spirits by a scientific application of certain formula. A magician could, by the power vested in certain words and symbols, control the invisible inhabitants of the elements and of the astral world. The practice of magic, either white or black, depends upon the ability of the adept to control the universal life force, that which Eliphas Levi calls the great magic agent or the astral light. By the manipulation of this fluidic essence, the phenomenon of transcendentalism are produced. The famous hermaphroditic goat of Mendes was a composite creature formulated to symbolize this astral light. It is identical with Baphomet, the mystic pathos of those disciples of ceremonial magic, the Templars, who probably obtained it from the Arabians. Hall wrote that the elaborate rituals of the magicians of antiquity were not necessarily evil, but that they became corrupted over time, leading to the establishment of several false schools of sorcery. He called this sorcery black magic. Egypt was one of the places where the black magicians of Atlantean times corrupted the teachings of the mystery schools. Not only did they practice the art of sorcery in Egypt, but managed to establish a priest class, and by doing so took over the spiritual government of that great center of civilization and learning. The initiates of the mystery school lost prestige and power after this took place, and from that point on it was black magic that dictated the state religion. Even the pharaoh himself became nothing but a puppet of these sorcerers. The black magicians saw to it that the ancient wisdom was accessible to no one but themselves, and while they professed to be righteous, in reality they were only concerned with keeping the sacred knowledge to themselves. In this way, they maintained and managed their power over the masses, and initiates who wanted to obtain that ancient knowledge were never to be allowed to access it. The sorcerers encouraged the people of Egypt to worship images without understanding that these were only meant to be symbolic. They were kept ignorant of the truth, and this kept them bound into a kind of mental slavery. The black magicians completely dominated national affairs. During the Middle Ages, Kabbalists practiced ceremonial magic. Their transcendentalism is founded upon the ancient and magical formula of Solomon. Among these Kabbalists, however, were a great number of black magicians who became enmeshed in demonism and witchcraft. These individuals began to use circles spread around posts of coffin nails, magic mirrors, and concentrated daggers as part of their rituals. They used ceremonial magic and its rituals in an attempt to control elemental spirits, hoping to obtain rare knowledge and supernatural powers. Hall points out that these types of magic descend from the sorcerers who practiced in ancient Atlantis. They were not interested in using magic for benevolent purposes. Those who practiced black magic put themselves at risk for rousing spirits and elemental forces that can easily overpower the magician and have disastrous results in that person's life. There are 4 premises underlying the theory and practice of black magic. The first is that the visible universe has an invisible counterpart. The invisible counterpart is made up of higher planes and lower planes. The beings found on the higher planes are described as good and beautiful, while the lower planes are the abode of evil spirits and demons under the leadership of the fallen angel and his 10 princes. The second premise is that it is possible to contact these invisible beings and coerce them to act in a capacity to assist the humans who call them. These beings are both good spirits and evil spirits. Those that are benevolent will provide help for worthy human endeavors, but the dark spirits do evil and only want to pervert and destroy. Premise 3 is that it is possible to make contracts with these spirits. When this occurs, the magician becomes the master of an elemental being, but only for a certain period of time, until that magician's death. The fourth premise is that true black magic is performed with the aid of a demon spirit. This evil spirit serves the sorcerer all of his life, and then after death, the magician now owes the demon and must serve it. This is the reason why black magicians want to live as long of an earthly life as possible, because there's nothing beyond the grave for them but fulfillment of the contract to the demon. The black magician binds an elemental to his service through this process. The pact between the two is signed in blood because in the arcanum of magic it is declared that he controls the soul who controls the blood of another. After the pact is made, a continual struggle ensues between the magician and the elemental, and of course the elemental always wins and the debt must be paid upon the death of the magician. Probably the most powerful form of black magic is when it is utilized by humans for the gratification of personal desire, especially for power. The problem with this is the magician, no matter how strong he is and how much he thinks he can control the elemental demon that he makes a pact with, the day will always dawn when the debt needs to be paid. The black magician therefore commits crime after crime in the name of self-preservation. Because life is sustained by universal energy which all creatures possess, the black magician often becomes an occult vampire and steals this energy from others. The reason vampires attack victims for their blood is because blood contains this life force energy. The pentagram is an important symbol used in magic, and it is a time-honored symbol of the magical arts. It is the 5-pointed star, which signifies the 5 properties of the great magical agent, the 5 senses of man, the 5 elements of nature, and the 5 extremities of the human body. The pentagram is used extensively in black magic, but in black magic, as you can see on the screen, it is inverted. This is because in symbolism, an inverted figure always signifies a perverted power. The black magician cannot use the symbols of white magic because black magic is not a fundamental art, but a misuse of an art. Because it has no symbols of its own, it must use a perverted form of the true pentagram. For example, the star might be broken at one point, it might be inverted by having 1 point down and 2 points up, as you see here, or it might be distorted by having points of various lengths. Black magicians invert and reverse the symbols of magic. When used in black magic, the pentagram is called the sign of the cloven hoof or footprint of the devil. When the star has 2 points upward and 1 down, as you see here, it is called the goat of Mendes because the star has the shape of a goat's head. The point on the bottom, which indicates spirit, is thrust into the realm of matter and signifies the fall of the morning star. According to Madame Helena Blavatsky, there are 2 kinds of magic, generally called white and black, depending on the object of magical operation. And she says, occultism itself is colorless, and only when used by man for the one side or the other is it good or bad. Bad occultism, or that which is used for selfish ends, is not false, for it is the same as that which is used for good ends. Nature is two-sided, negative and positive, good and bad, light and dark, hot and cold, spirit and matter. The black magician is as powerful in the matter of phenomena as the white, but in the end, all the trend of nature will go to destroy the black and save the white. But what you should understand is that the false man and the true can both be occultists. She also says, occultism is the general, all-inclusive term. The differentiating terms are white and black. The same forces are used by both, and similar laws, for there are no special laws in this universe for any special set of workers in nature's secrets. But the path of the untruthful and the wicked, while seemingly easy at first, is hard at last. For the black workers are the friends of no one. They are each against the other as soon as interest demands, and that may be any time. It is said that final annihilation of the personal soul awaits those who deal in the destructive side of nature's hall of experience. She says magic is a dual power. Nothing is easier than to turn it into sorcery. An evil thought suffices for it. Therefore, while theoretical occultism is harmless and may do good, practical magic, or the fruits of the tree of life and knowledge, or otherwise the science of good and evil, is fraught with dangers and perils. Since the difference of primary importance between black and white magic is simply the object with which it is practiced, and that of secondary importance, the nature of the agents and ingredients used for the production of phenomenal results, the line of demarcation between the two is very, very thin. It is comparatively easy, she says, to learn the tricks of spells and the methods of using the subtler but still material forces of physical nature. The powers of the animal soul in man are soon awakened. The forces which his love, his hate, his passion can call into operation are readily developed. But this is black magic, sorcery, for it is the motive, and the motive alone, which makes any exercise of power become black, malignant, or white, benevolent. It is impossible to employ spiritual forces if there is the slightest tinge of selfishness remaining in the operator. For unless the intention is entirely unalloyed, the spiritual will transform itself into the psychic, act on the astral plane, and dire results may be produced by it. The powers and forces of animal nature can equally be used by the selfish and revengeful as by the unselfish and the all-forgiving. The powers and forces of spirit lend themselves only to the pure, perfectly pure in heart, and this is divine magic. And last of all, Eliphas Levi says this about black magic. In black magic, the devil is the great magical agent employed for evil purposes by a perverse will. Black magic is really only a graduated combination of sacrileges and murders designed for the permanent perversion of a human will and for the realization in a living man of the hideous phantom of the demon. It is, therefore, properly speaking, the religion of the devil and the cultus of darkness, hatred of good carried to the heart of paroxysm. It is the incarnation of death and the persistent creation of hell. See you next time.